I was reaching for a fresh diaper when my fingers brushed something hard and cold under the wipes pack. I didn't look right away. My daughter was giggling at the little giraffe hanging from the car seat handle, kicking her socks off again. I lifted the wipes. There it was, a phone I didn't recognize, matte black, no case, just worn plastic and a faint scratch across the corner like someone dropped it in a rush. It wasn't mine, and it sure as hell wasn't hers. For a second, I just stared at it. The backseat smelled like vanilla from the baby lotion and stale milk from the half-finished bottle jammed in the cup holder. Everything felt too quiet. I slipped it into my hoodie pocket and kissed my daughter's forehead. She wrinkled her nose and babbled something that sounded like dada. I smiled, but my stomach had already dropped. Inside, my wife was leaning against the kitchen counter, phone in hand, texting. She looked up and smiled like nothing had shifted. "You ready?" she asked. "Yeah," I said. "You have everything." "Think so? Did you grab the wipes?" I nodded. She didn't ask about the phone, not then. That night after we got back and she dozed off with her back turned, I pulled the burner out of my hoodie, plugged it in with the charger we kept in the junk drawer. The screen blinked to life. Locked. Just a dull gray background and the time flashing, 2:12 a.m. No fingerprint set up, just a code. I guessed her birthday. The real one, not the one she used on Instagram. It didn't work. I tried her high school graduation date next. Third time it lit up, welcome. That's when I knew it wasn't just some old phone she forgot to mention. It wasn't a backup. It wasn't an accident. It was alive. No missed calls, no notifications like it had been wiped clean recently, but the silence was loud. No apps, just the basics. Calculator, clock, texts. I didn't open anything. Not yet. I just stared at the screen while she breathed steady beside me. Her arm was curled under her pillow. Wedding ring off like always lately. Said her fingers were still swollen from pregnancy. That was a lie I'd decided to believe 2 months ago. She shifted a little and murmured something I didn't catch. I locked the phone and slid it under the bed frame behind the extra diapers and her yoga mat. Out of sight, for now. I didn't sleep. I watched the ceiling fan spin, slow and steady. My eyes tracked the shadow of it on the wall, waiting for morning to make it all make sense. But it didn't. Not when I packed my lunch the next day and found her humming in the kitchen, wearing the hoodie I gave her for our second anniversary. Not when she texted me a heart emoji at 10:04 a.m., like she hadn't changed a thing. I thought maybe it was just a misunderstanding. Maybe there was a reason. But deep down something had shifted, something cold, something final. That part of me she always complained about, the one she said felt distant, the one she accused of being detached, that part woke up. And it didn't panic. It watched. And it waited. Because I knew this wasn't going to end with a scream or a slammed door. It was going to end with clarity. And clarity takes time. We used to laugh about how boring we were. Friday nights were frozen pizza and half-watched shows while she folded laundry on the couch. I'd pause the TV just to pull her into a slow dance in the kitchen, barefoot, her flour-covered hands leaving prints on my shirt. She called me predictable, said she loved that about me. We had a rhythm. She'd do mornings, I'd take nights. She was the list maker, the planner, the one who remembered birthdays. I was the anchor, reliable, grounded. Our friends envied it, the steadiness, the comfort. She used to fall asleep on my chest with her hand resting on my side, like she was making sure I wouldn't float off in the middle of the night. We were building something, a life. Then we had our daughter, and everything changed. Not all at once, not in the way you expect. The first few weeks were beautiful chaos. She cried when our daughter smiled in her sleep for the first time. She took 100 photos of her eyelashes. I caught her watching me feed her once and she whispered, "You're already her hero." but the joy started to fray at the edges. She was tired, always tired. She said she felt invisible, said I didn't see her anymore. I tried, God, I tried. I cooked more, left notes on the bathroom mirror, set reminders to ask about her day. I took overnight feedings, changed every diaper I could. Still, she said I wasn't really with her. She stopped dancing in the kitchen, started sleeping with her back to me. I remember once I kissed her shoulder just lightly and she flinched, said she was just startled, but her eyes didn't meet mine. That was the first time I felt the distance. So I started journaling. Not because I'm a writer, I'm not, but because she said I was slipping, said I'd forget things she told me, conversations we had. So I wrote it all down, every day. Tuesday, she said the baby's rash came back, gave her coconut oil, told me not to worry. Thursday, she was quiet, said she was just tired. But I could feel it, like a draft coming in through a window you can't find. The day she left for girls' night, I told her to have fun. She kissed my cheek like it was a formality. When she got back, the baby stirred in her crib. I stood up to check on her, but she beat me to it, held her close and whispered, "At least she still needs me." I should have said something, asked what that meant, but I didn't. I just stood there in the hallway, watching the two of them in the soft glow of the night light. I told myself she'd come back around, that it was just a phase. Every couple has rough patches, that's what people say, right? But I was measuring everything by what we used to be, and what we were becoming didn't look anything like that. She stopped wearing her ring, said it felt tight, said it made her finger itch. I offered to resize it. She said not to bother. I watched her more closely after that, not with suspicion, at least not yet, more like someone trying to remember the shape of something before it disappears. It was the small things, the way she dressed to go to the grocery store, the way she locked her phone before putting it down, the way she laughed at something on her screen and tilted it away when I walked past. She told me I was imagining things, said I was being paranoid. And I believed her, because believing her was easier than admitting something was breaking. I didn't know what yet, but I was starting to feel the cracks. It started with the ring. She said her fingers were still swollen from pregnancy. That metal didn't feel good on her skin anymore. I believed her. At least I wanted to. But I kept seeing it on the bathroom counter, then on her nightstand, then nowhere at all. She said she was going out with friends more. "I need a break from the house," she told me, putting on eyeliner she hadn't touched in months. I remember watching her from the hallway once. She was adjusting her bra strap, looking at herself in the mirror with this slight tilt of her head. It wasn't vanity. It was calibration, like she was preparing for a version of herself that didn't exist here. I said, "You look nice." She smiled, "It's just dinner." She didn't ask if I minded, just grabbed her purse and left. I sat on the couch, holding the baby monitor, listening to our daughter breathe. I wanted to believe it was normal, that she just needed space. But the phone habits changed too. She used to scroll openly, share memes with me, read out loud from whatever she was laughing at. Then she started angling her screen away, locking it the second I entered the room. Once I came up behind her in the kitchen and she flinched when I touched her waist. The phone slid from her hand onto the tile. She picked it up fast and said, "Just work stuff." I didn't ask. I nodded and reached for a glass of water I didn't even want. She told me I was too quiet lately, that I didn't talk the way I used to. But what was I supposed to say? "Hey, why do you only wear perfume when I'm not around? Why does your voice change when you're on the phone in the laundry room? Why does the baby monitor sometimes pick up you whispering at 1:47 a.m. when you told me you were asleep?" I couldn't prove anything, and I didn't want to sound crazy. So I started logging things, not in a journal this time, in my head. Thursday night, out with Anna, back at 11:12 p.m. hair damp. Saturday grocery run. Returned with one bag and wet hair again. No groceries. Her scent changed too. Not the lotion she used after the baby was born, something sweeter, synthetic. One night she came home and walked straight to the shower. Didn't kiss me. Didn't say a word. Just turned the water on, closed the door, and hummed some song I didn't recognize. I stood in the hallway, staring at the diaper bag still zipped shut. The same one I'd find the burner phone in a week later. But at the time, I was still choosing to believe her. Or maybe I was choosing the version of her I remembered. The one who fell asleep in my arms on our anniversary. The one who told me, "Don't let me go first. I don't want to do life without you." I was clinging to that voice, but the voice in front of me was different now. Colder, controlled, calculated. She gaslit me in small, quiet ways. "Why are you so suspicious? You're reading into things. I can't even breathe without you questioning me." So I stopped questioning, out loud at least. She said I was distant, that I wasn't present. But the truth was I was more present than I'd ever been. I noticed everything. The new lock screen on her phone, the extra cash missing from the drawer, the new password on our shared Netflix account. Little things, but they add up. It was like watching a painting get redrawn in front of you. Same frame, different picture. And I was starting to realize the woman in front of me wasn't the same one I built a life with. I didn't know who she was becoming. But I knew she didn't want me along for the ride. The burner phone unlocked on the third try. Her birthday, the real one, not the one she put on Facebook to dodge identity theft. The one only I knew by heart because I made the dinner reservation before she even said yes to dadding me. The screen lit up dim and quiet. No wallpapers, no widgets, just a plain gray background, a handful of icons. Texts, call, log, clock, that was it. It felt sterile, like a hospital room that hadn't been used yet, but it wasn't empty. There were no contact names, just numbers, short messages, carefully deleted threads that left behind enough to know they existed, like cleaning up a spill but leaving the glass. The first one said, "Hotel booked, same room." Another, "Bring the red one." Then a week later, "Missed your mouth." I remember blinking at that one, starring like maybe if I read it differently it would make sense another way, like it was about food, or makeup, or... But it was what it was. I didn't move, didn't breathe for a while. She was sleeping upstairs, one leg kicked out of the comforter, her hair tied up in that loose, messy knot she did when she was too tired to care. There was a half-empty glass of white wine on her nightstand. The baby monitor blinked quietly next to it. And I was downstairs in the dark, holding a phone that didn't exist in our marriage. There was a picture in the photo cache, just one. Lorez, a mirror shot, motel room, her reflection half-turned, shirt slipping off her shoulder, her necklace, the one I gave her after our daughter was born, still around her neck. I stared at it too long, not because I wanted to, because I had to. Because I needed to accept that this wasn't a misunderstanding. This wasn't a moment of weakness. This was planned. I backed out of the image. My thumb shook just once, not from rage. I wasn't angry. I was something else still. There were call logs, some 2 minutes, some 25, always around the same hours, just after daycare drop-off, just before pickup, or late after 11 p.m. when I was in bed. She was organized, I'll give her that, precise. I kept scrolling until I realized I was cataloging it in my head. Timestamp, message, duration. And then I stopped. I locked the phone, held it in my hand like it might burn me. This wasn't just cheating. It was strategy. It was who she became when I wasn't watching. I sat in the kitchen, staring at the fridge where our daughter's drawings were taped with alphabet magnets. A red crayon version of our house, 3 stick figures. Hers was always smiling. I didn't cry. I didn't punch a wall, I just sat. I thought about how many times I held her purse while she tied her shoes. How many nights I rubbed her back when she said her anxiety was flaring up. How many times I told her, "It's okay, I trust you." She told me I was losing track of reality, that I needed to be more present. So I became still, like stone. I got up, printed every message, every log, took photos of the phone screen. I saved them to a flash drive I buried inside an old DVD case labeled Baby Einstein Vol. 2. She hated that DVD. I didn't confront her. Not yet. I slipped the phone back into the diaper bag, in the exact spot I found it, buried it under the same wipes, packed it beside the same snacks. Let it live where it had been living. I made coffee at 6:00 a.m. like I always did. She came down in her robe, hair damp from a shower. "Morning," she said, kissing my cheek. "Morning," I answered and handed her a mug. She didn't taste like guilt. She tasted like peppermint toothpaste. And I realized then this wasn't going to be a blow-up. No slammed doors. No screaming match in front of our child. This would be quiet. Measured. Because clarity deserves an audience of one. And mine had just arrived. I started waking up before her. Not by much, just 15, 20 minutes. Enough to pack the diaper bag myself. Enough to slip the burner phone into a Ziploc and place a decoy in its spot. A broken one I picked up from a thrift store for $5. She never noticed. I offered to take over daycare drop-offs, said I wanted to be more involved. She smiled, said that was sweet, kissed my cheek like we weren't standing in ruins. She never checked the bag after that. I changed my passwords, not the obvious ones, just the backup ones. The things she forgot she had access to, my second email, my Apple ID, the banking logins we'd stopped using. I moved the crypto first. Quietly, ledger in hand, one wallet to another. No notifications, no flags. The prenup didn't touch digital assets. Her lawyer probably didn't even know what a cold wallet was. She wouldn't find out until later, much later. I checked our joint account next. Nothing major, just little things. Noticed a $62 charge from a boutique I'd never heard of. I drove by. It was a lingerie shop. Upscale, minimal signage. I never asked about it. I just started making a list. One entry per line. Date, charge, time of disappearance, mood when she returned. It was like solving a puzzle no one else knew existed. She said I was quiet lately. I told her I was just tired. And that was true. Tired of pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. She called me distant. I said maybe. She started wearing perfume again, only when she went out. One night as she was grabbing her keys, she looked back at me and asked, "You okay?" I looked at her long enough to see the version of her I'd built in my head crumble. "I'm good," I said. She left without saying goodbye to our daughter, said she was already asleep. But I knew she was. I'd rocked her for 45 minutes after dinner just to make sure she felt safe. The motel she used was 26 minutes away. Always the same room. I know because I called once, asked for availability, said I'd be arriving late. The man on the phone said, "Room 12's open Thursday after 7. I hung up. I never followed her, never showed up, never exploded. I just watched the clock. She'd leave at 6:48, return at 10:42, always within a 3-minute range. Precision like that doesn't come from spontaneity. It comes from repetition. I stopped trying to fix anything, just let the routine settle. She started talking more at dinner, said she was feeling better, that we seemed to be back in sync. I nodded. The night she forgot to delete her GPS history, I almost laughed. It was all there, the route, the destination, the return trip. She even got gas on the way back, paid in cash. I screenshotted everything, saved it to the flash drive with the messages and the photo. Then I made a copy, mailed it to a friend out of state I hadn't talked to in a year. No return address, just a note inside, "Hold this for me, trust me." He didn't reply, that was the point. One night I stayed up after she fell asleep, watched her roll over, tug the comforter tighter around her shoulders. She looked peaceful. And I realized this wasn't peace. This was the eye of the storm. I started wearing my wedding ring again. Not for her, for me, a reminder that I had been loyal, steady, the man she once said she prayed for. I wasn't going to scream. I wasn't going to chase. I was going to end this the way I lived it, quiet, intentional, unshakable. With every move recorded, every lie cataloged, every exit mapped. She would never see it coming. And when it landed, it wouldn't be with fury. It would be with stillness. I waited 3 more weeks. Long enough for her to start getting comfortable again. Her tone softened. She texted more, sent me a reel of a dad dancing with his daughter and said, "This made me think of you." I wrote back a heart. She started touching me more in passing, a hand on my back, a kiss on the cheek while pouring coffee. It was all very rehearsed. Like she thought a few gestures could smooth over the crater between us. Then I scheduled therapy. I said maybe we should talk to someone, try to figure out where we went off track. Her eyes lit up. "You really mean that?" "Yeah," I said, "I think it's time." She hugged me like she'd been holding her breath for months, whispered, "Thank you for fighting for us." She had no idea. The session was on a Monday. I chose that on purpose, gave me the weekend to prepare. Saturday morning, I took our daughter to the park, picked up a new folder on the way home, black, clean, no label. Inside it I placed a printout of every message from the burner phone, screenshots of her GPS logs, a timeline of her Thursday girl nights, a photo of the motel front desk taken from Google Street View, a copy of the prenup, highlighted. I didn't include the motel mirror picture. That was for me. I placed the folder on the dining table at 2:54 a.m. Sunday night, left a sticky note on top. "If we're being honest, let's start here." She opened it at 3:12. I know because the baby monitor blinked on, caught her sobbing into her sleeve in the kitchen, whispering my name like it was some kind of prayer. She didn't wake me, didn't try to explain. She just went back upstairs and lay beside me like she hadn't shattered the silence. The next day, she got ready in near silence. Hair curled, full makeup, white blouse I hadn't seen in months. She said, "You still want to go?" I said, "Yeah, I want to hear your side." She nodded like that was fair. At the office, the therapist greeted us with soft lighting and calming piano music. Her name was Susan. She wore soft gray clothes and shoes that didn't make sound. She asked who wanted to begin. My wife jumped in. She said she felt isolated, unseen, that I stopped being affectionate, that I used to write her poems and now I just left early and came home late. I let her talk. Then I placed the folder on the table between us, slid it towards Susan. "I brought a little context," I said. Susan opened it. Her eyes scanned the first page. Her expression didn't change, but she didn't keep flipping, just nodded slowly and looked up at my wife. My wife said, "What is this?" "You tell me," I said. She stared at me, jaw twitching. "This is an ambush." "No," I said, "this is clarity." She looked at Susan. "He's twisting everything. That phone, he broke into something private." Susan raised a hand gently. "We're just going to sit with this for a moment." My wife stood up, paced, pressed her fingers to her forehead like she was trying to will away the evidence. She said, "I felt alone." I said, "So you created a second life." Tears came fast then. She sat down and reached for my hand. I didn't move. Susan asked, if I was open to reconciliation. I said I'm open to co-parenting. Silence filled the room like fog. She cried all the way home. I didn't say a word. When we pulled into the driveway, I stepped out without waiting for her, unbuckled our daughter, kissed her forehead, and walked inside. She sat in the car for 23 minutes. That night, she slept on the couch. The next morning, I changed the Wi-Fi password, shut down her access to the shared drive with all our financial records, transferred my LLC assets into a trust with my brother as a silent executor. She asked, "Why are you being so cold?" I said, "I'm being clear." That weekend, she moved in with her sister. And just like that, it was done. Not with screaming, not with broken plates. With paper, with proof. With peace. She moved in with her sister that following Tuesday. Took her makeup bag, 2 suitcases, and a box labeled winter stuff that had never even made it out of the garage last year. She left her wedding dress in the closet. I didn't touch it, still haven't. It just hangs there, pressed and zipped up like it's waiting for someone else's life. She told her parents I'd emotionally shut down, that I wasn't willing to grow. Her sister posted a vague quote on Instagram about people who give up too easily. I didn't respond, didn't correct them, let the silence speak. The burner phone, I locked it in the attic, inside an old cigar box with a broken clasp, right next to the positive pregnancy test she handed me that night on the porch 2 years ago, wrapped in tissue paper like it was sacred. It's all sacred until it is. She texted a few times, long paragraphs. I never opened them. iMessage previews showed just enough. Can we talk? I'm not asking for anything, just a chance to explain. This wasn't supposed to happen. She tried calling twice, blocked number, left voicemails that started out steady and cracked halfway through. I didn't delete them, but I didn't listen either. I moved my crypto wallet to a new cold storage drive, changed the name of my LLC, filed for separation, didn't ask for child support, didn't touch her savings. She expected retaliation. I gave her quiet. Some friends reached out, people who'd seen photos of us and assumed we were solid. They asked if everything was okay. I said, we're figuring things out. I still took our daughter to daycare, still packed fruit in little containers and braided her hair the way her mom used to. Sloppier, but it stayed. She giggled when I used too many clips, called me silly. She never asked where her mom went. One night I picked her up and she said, "You smell like pancakes." I hadn't made pancakes that day, but it hit me harder than anything else. That smell used to mean family. Now it just meant I was still trying. The thing about endings is they don't echo. They just land, and then everything is different. She didn't try to come back, not really. Not until 3 months later when the crypto market spiked and my name was in a local business article. I donated to a nonprofit in town, quietly, anonymously, but someone leaked it. That's when she sent another message. "I'm proud of you. I always knew you'd do something big." I didn't reply. She called me cold. I called it clarity. I used to think forgiveness meant something dramatic, like storming out of a courtroom, or hugging the person who broke you while music swells in the background. Some big, theatrical moment that lets the pain burn itself out in the open. But that's not what it looks like. Forgiveness is quieter. It's choosing not to reply at 2:14 a.m. when her name lights up your phone. It's standing in your kitchen pouring coffee, hearing her voice in your head, and letting it pass. It's waking up and realizing you haven't thought about her in 3 days, and that stillness isn't grief. It's peace. She thought I'd fight, that I'd yell, that I'd throw the folder at her and demand she break down for me. But I didn't need her to break. I needed her to disappear. She said once during a fight before all this, "You always shut down. It's like talking to a locked door." She was right. But doors aren't cruel. They just keep things out for good reason. The last message she sent me said, "I hope you'll remember the good parts." I read it once. Then I deleted it. Because the good parts weren't a gift she gave me. They were memories I built around someone who no longer exists. I still wear my ring sometimes. Not because I'm holding on, but because I like remembering who I was when I meant every word in those vows. He deserved better. Our daughters started asking questions. Nothing deep yet, just small ones. Why don't we go to mommy's house too? Did mommy like this show? I keep my answers short, kind. She'll learn what she needs to in her own time. Some days I pass by women in the grocery store who wear the same perfume. That sickly sweet synthetic stuff. My throat tightens for half a second. Then it fades. I think closure is just the ability to stand still without needing the past to explain itself. She got her answers. I gave her the folder, the truth. She called me distant. I call it done. And I meant it. This is Revenge with Camden. If you've ever been betrayed by the person you trusted most, hit subscribe. You're not alone.